We're going to start here with a story we covered earlier this week, maybe even late last, basically under the title of, if you encourage the funny ha-ha-ha public comments on your Twitter feed, guess what? Then you own the not-so-funny ha-ha public comments that other people consider to be hateful on your Twitter feed, right? We had talked about this last week. The issue is the Italian-American Human Relations Foundation wants the city council to censure an alderwoman, Rodriguez-Sanchez, for a social media post that referenced Italian culture, and then, of course, America being America what it is, then prompted a lot of people to respond with stereotypical messages about Italian Americans and even Al Capone. Now, keep in mind, she herself did not reference Al Capone in any way, shape, manner, or form. The people commenting on her post did, and a lot more. And she says she received an awful lot of racist comments as well, aimed towards her and her Puerto Rican heritage. All right, Joey, we can turn the music down. Thank you, sir. The original Twitter posting was, what's the best way to honor Italian heritage in Chicago? And there were 4 choices. Number 1, Italian Ice Monument. That actually received 64% of the vote. An espresso monument, about 8% of the vote. A Columbus statue, 18% of the vote. Other, write in your own comments, 10%. And therein lies the rub, the 10% of comments. And there were a lot of, this is probably a few days old at this point, there was a lot of public comments. So now here's the latest turn of this story. Now an Italian-American organization that wants Chicago Alderwoman Rosanna Rodriguez-Sanchez censured over her Twitter feed is now being accused of violating its own nonprofit status for criticizing an elected official. Now, why wouldn't this just be free speech? I'm not positive about this, but our guest can offer some edification and detail. Shia Kapos is author of Politico's Illinois Playbook. You should sign up for this. It's great. Shows up in my inbox Monday through Friday at 7:30. And you can catch up on all the Chicago and Cook County and Illinois politics in one place. Anyway, Shia, thank you very much for joining me. As I mentioned, I talked about this earlier at length this week. Is this basically a case of battling Italian-American organizations at this point?
Yes, a little bit. The organization that's complaining is really only like 2 people, I think. So it is really small. And the other Italian group is like, they're not big enough to complain about us. But I do think they bring up an interesting point, especially if they actually go through and, complain about their tax status. So, it was worth digging into a little bit.
So the complaints filed against the Italian-American Human Relations Foundation, I believe I've talked to the president of that group on this program in the past, and the smaller organization is the Italian-American Heritage Society. So what can they do legally to the Italian-American Human Relations Foundation?
Well, they're just saying they are questioning whether the larger group has a right to try to censure the alderman. And that group is saying, hey, we have a First Amendment right to complain about whatever we want. It's not it's not a political thing, which is what would, violate the rules. Whether they go through and file an official complaint, we'll have to see. Right now, I think I called it sword rattling. They're just trying to prevent the one group from bothering the alderman. But, the alderman, she started all of this by putting out, what she said was just trying to be funny, but it really hit a nerve with a lot of people about
stereotyping Italians and their culture with the multiple choice question, then asking for public comments. She's never officially apologized, or has she now on this Friday? Has she finally apologized for that Twitter question?
I have not seen the apology. Maybe you know something I don't. She has said she didn't mean it to be, an ethnic attack in any way. She's talking about food. And I think if anybody else had done that, you would say sure. But because you're an alderman and you've taken a position on this issue about Columbus statues, then when you put out this maybe lighthearted thing, is what she called it, then people question it. I think that's kind of part of the issue.
I think that's spot on. We're talking here with Shia Kapos, author and editor of Politico's Illinois Playbook. You should sign up for it and get it every day. So the problem isn't so much with her little Twitter question. The problem was with some of the comments that came in by who knows who. It's all anonymous, obviously. And maybe she should have put the question out there and just said, think about it, discuss it among yourselves, but turned off the public comments.
Oh, yeah, that probably would have been a good idea. And she's been getting very, terrible, racially, tinged racist comments. And then there have been comments that, or attack Italians. It's just been kind of gross all around.
Yeah. This is America, Shia. As I say, problem with public transportation is never the transportation. It's generally the public.
Right. That's probably true.
Yeah. People just have no manners any longer because they can spew hate anonymously. I wish when Al Gore had invented the internet, he would have thought about that a little further.
Right. The anonymous stuff is what is, I don't know about you. When I get stuff that's anonymous, I just ignore it. I don't respond. I don't engage. But when it's real people who have, thoughtful complaints, I don't mind talking about that.
Well, I don't either, but that's why I give my email address out. That way I have their email address. I know sometimes they can have bogus accounts. I get that. But there's a person here at WDLS, almost a full-time job, is basically scrubbing the public comments from the stories that we post.
Oh. Well, that's why a lot of newspapers stopped putting comments on there. You used to be able to add comments at the bottom of stories and editorials, but newspapers stopped that. We did too, I think. I don't think Politico does it anymore because there's so much garbage that gets thrown in there. Misinformation, ugly stuff. So it became, so now you just can't do it at all.
So where does this story go from here? Is it done, or do you think they'll actually try to, some way, the smaller Italian-American group will try to harm the larger Italian-American group, or do you think this is shots fired in the culture war, but we're all done for this this time around?
I think that's a good way to put it, shots fired. I mean, we'll see if there's, if the complaint about the larger group, if it goes to the city council, I would doubt, there's no way that the alderman is going to be censured, but, it may become a talking point in city council, so we'll see if that happens. And then will the smaller group then, file an official complaint? We'll see. Will it be ignored? We'll see.
Well, for sure you'll cover it. I'll wait for an update at 7:30 on Monday morning with the Illinois Playbook. Thank you, Shia. Have a terrific weekend.
Oh, thank you so much.